NFL season begins on February 18th, 2023. Those attending an Orlando Guardians game will see Roman Tatum take the field. More than a cornerback, Roman is a husband, a father, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist who owes himself a lot. Today, we'll get to know the player and the person in numerical values.
Roman Tatum, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me and have this conversation today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
So, getting to know you one Roman numeral at a time. Let's begin with V. Let's begin with 5. When it comes to football, your story began at 5. Roman, take us back to the beginning of your journey. Please tell me about Big Ma that got you started in football at the age of 5.
Big Mom, she adopted me. When she adopted me, she had a man in the house who's my uncle. Call him Uncle C, or, Cornelius, however you want to call him. But so she put me in the game of football. My sister was a cheerleader at the time. I wasn't yet playing football, but I would always go up to her practices, right? When I would go to her practices, I'm going to go to where the guys are. So I see guys over there playing football. I'll just kind of, just hang out with him for a little bit. And eventually I just started running around with him. And the coach was like, "You're fast. Where are your parents at?" And I was like, "Well, my big mom, she's over there. I asked her if she'll let me play." And I went and told her, like, "Hey, I want to play football." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'll sign you up." And then from there, I just started playing. It's funny because me and her was literally just talking about this like last night, right? She was like, "Man, when you started playing football, you loved it so much." And like, she used to give me like these little suits, like Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Florida State. So those are like my teams that I grew up on, right? Because that's what my house, that's what we supported. So it's like these little costumes, fake uniforms or whatever. I had a helmet, shoulder pads, the jersey, and the pants. And she told me I would literally sleep in that stuff every day. I never wanted to take it off. So I wear that stuff like day in and day out. So that's where like my love of the game came from. Like as soon as I got introduced to the game, I fell in love with it.
Oh, that is awesome. Let's talk about another number. Can we talk about 2? So you are the father of 2 kids. So here's
Yes.
this is a part 2 question then. What is the very hardest part about being a father? And then what is the very best part?
I think the hardest part of being a father for me is, connecting with my kids and just understanding how to be a father. I never met my father. I grew up without a father. I grew up without my mother. Came in and out of the foster system. My big mom, she adopted me around age 5, me and my sister. So she gave me some stability. But yeah, man, when I found out I was going to be a father, I was terrified, right? To be honest, even though I was married to my high school sweetheart, it was like, in the perfect world, but on the inside, there was some fear inside of me. I seeked out therapy and I started going to therapy for my mental health because I didn't know how to do this before. And I was afraid because my father, he was a coward. He didn't step up to the plate. So me, naturally, I didn't want to be that type. I didn't want to be that way. But as I going through therapy, I realized I had attachment issues, right? Or not attachment issues, abandonment issues with people abandoning me. So I was hoping that, I don't want to do that to my kids. So that was the most challenging part of being able to connect with my kids through my pain and through my hurt. Because there was still some healing that I needed to seek so I can be a great father. And then the best part of being a father is just my kids looking at me. They're happy. They're calling me father. They're embracing me. They love me to life. I got blessed with 2 boys. It's so amazing. And just the relationship I'm starting to build with them. Even my youngest, he's 7 months old. But man, he loves me so much. And I love him probably more than he loved me, right? Whenever I get on the phone with him, he can be going to bed. My wife can be putting him to sleep. As soon as he hears my voice, he pops up, starts smiling, and he wants to play with me. He wants to embrace me. And that makes me feel great. It makes me feel welcome. It makes me feel seen. It makes me feel appreciated. So having kids is it's just a different feeling,
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about the number 1 now? Because there's one very special woman, your wife, your love of your life. You married, as you mentioned, your high school sweetheart. Question for you, Roman, is this: how did you know that she was the one?
So I love this question, right? So I was a sophomore. I was 16 at the time. It's funny because I was homeless at the time when I met her. I was 16, going to Westwood High School in the 10th grade, just kind of bouncing from home to home again. My wife, she was 14, and I just saw her walking on the campus. I watched her literally for 3 weeks before I said one word. I saw her, I was like, I'm going to marry that woman. I didn't even know what marriage was like because I didn't grow up in a household with marriage. Everything I knew about marriage was from the TV, right? So I was like, I want to marry her. She was gorgeous when I first saw her, right? And then when I got to know her, she had a heart that like I've never experienced before. She loved me in a way that I have never been loved before. And then she had just lost her dad probably a year prior to his meeting. So it's like we both needed each other from an emotional space, right? I gave her something that she was seeking. She gave me something that I was seeking. And then we just kind of like got to know each other, being up late on the phone all night long. At the time, I didn't have a cell phone. I'm just talking on the house phone. And then I started to stay with her, right? So her mother was kind of like traveling. She was traveling, so she was home a lot. She had to grow up really fast as a young woman because her mom was sick with cancer. She ended up getting sick, so she wasn't working anymore. She was in and out of the hospital, so my wife was handling a bunch of legal stuff. She was, meeting with lawyers, just doing everything, signing herself out of school. And then I just started going to her house. And then one summer, that summer of my, I think it was probably my junior year, I met her mom and all of that. I stayed with her the whole summer because I didn't really have anywhere to go. I was kind of just hopping from friend to friend house, sometimes sleeping at the playground. I just, whenever I felt like I was wearing my welcome out at one of my friends' house, I would probably go just chill at the playground, go to school. Whenever I can go to one of my other homies' house, I'll go there, wear my welcome out there, then just kind of like do the same thing over and over again. And then, but my wife, she just gave me something that like I never had before, just from like a love perspective. I feel like God put her in my life for a reason. And you know what? That's, I knew from the first time I saw I was going to marry her, and I was determined to marry her, and I did.
Look at you, man of your word. I'm going to marry her, and certainly you did. Okay, so let's put the numbers aside for a moment. Let's get real with estates. With a bachelor's degree in business admin, you could have gone into so many different fields. What was it about real estate that drew you in?
So for me, I was always a hustler, right? I was always a go-getter. I was always a grinder. And I always liked to work for myself, right? So my big mom, cool thing about her is she was the neighborhood candy lady, right? So I learned how to hustle firsthand, how to get product, sell it for more than what you purchase it from, and you make a profit. So, and I ran the candy shop. I started doing it in school, right? I would get stuff from the store, bring it to school, candy bars, everything, and I would sell them to, my peers. And then I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like when I went to college, I knew that I wanted to go into business for myself. I met this guy named Peter Flack, who was like a mentor to me, became like a father figure to me. I worked for him back in 2016 in a construction company. He said, man, something is different about you, right? He didn't know what it was at the time. He just knew I was just very determined. I always ask a bunch of questions. He introduced me to real estate. He introduced me to commercial real estate first. Him and his wife was in the business. They're now my brokers out in Central Florida. They introduced me into the business. And he would put me in like these rooms, right? That I could only get in these rooms by affiliation with him. I'm in rooms with like millionaires, people with a ton of money. Those rooms, they're just different. Coming from where I come from the projects. You don't get exposed to spaces like that, right? You have to know the right person to expose me to these spaces, and it just expanded my mind. I'm like, wow, there's so much out here than just the hood that I grew up in, right? So I come home from school, me and him just talking or whatever. He was like, man, I think you should get real estate. I think you should. And he's like, this is the best time for you to get into real estate. And I was like, okay, or whatever. So I started studying it, just started studying it, and then I finally went and took the class. I'm like, wow, it's a no-brainer, man. I know I would excel in this, right? So I took the class, went and took my test, passed it, and I'm like, and then I got in it. The first 2 months, I had a deal up under my belt with like not even a lot of work, right? Because I'm used to working like extremely hard for football and different things like that. Real estate is very easy. It's about just learning the terminology, networking, being a people person, connecting the dots, and then it just happens for you. But real estate is just the beginning. I'm a creative at heart, right? So my long-term game is I want to be an architect, right? I want to be an architect / real estate developer. So that's what I want to get into. Like 5 years from now, I'm sure I'll be in that space, right? Right now I'm doing like little stuff on YouTube, just like learning the ins and outs of it. I don't want to go to school to do it, right? But if I have to go to school to become an architect, I will. But I've been seeing that some people, they become an architect without going back to school. They just kind of learn from experience, and then somebody gives them opportunity because they know that they know their stuff. So real estate for me is a vehicle that I feel like I can build generational wealth. I can learn about financial freedom, and I can help others understand investing, the power of investing in real estate. Like, I'm in the field where there's a professional athlete, right? In the NFL, there's a young guys with a lot of money. They don't really know what to do with it. You got your Roth RAs, you got all of that type of stuff, which is like traditional, right? But real estate is a game that we don't know about, right? If you take, say for example, I take 10 guys from my team, we create a hedge fund, right? And we go buy a 100-unit apartment complex. Now at that point, everybody's eating off that plate, right? But these guys don't know anything about this. So when I got exposed to it and I got exposed to this information, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of brothers like myself that needs to know this information. So my wife for doing this, for one, I want to create that financial freedom and that generational wealth for my family. And I also want to learn and be able to teach the game to my peers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A win not only for yourself, but a win, like you say, for your peers. And wow, that is awesome.
Thank
you. Here we go. Let's start listing them off. You are a football player, you're a father, you're a husband, an entrepreneur, you're also a philanthropist. So please tell me about the nonprofit that you're building. Tell me all about Just Like You.
So the nonprofit I'm building, Just Like You, I started that because I'm an inspirational speaker as well, right? I believe I have the gift to speak and impart knowledge, wisdom, confidence, inspiration into people. So that's what I would like to do, right? I love to give back. So I went to speak to some kids at a community center that I grew up in this place called Midnight Basketball, where they would take teens from 18 and under, right? To put them in a basketball gym on a Friday night from 8 to 12 and allow them just to play basketball all night. Well, it's another night to get them off the street. I come from a very violent neighborhood, right? I got a lot of homies that are dead, got a lot of homies that are in prison, but Midnight Basketball kept a lot of us out of trouble, right? We have midnight basketball, and that's another night for us to be running the street. So I went back, spoke to these kids, and when I went and spoke to them, I sat on like the bleachers with them. And one of my homies was like, "Hey man, why you sitting over there with them? You don't got to sit over there with them." He started laughing at me, right? And at this point, I knew I wanted to do a nonprofit, but I didn't know what I would call it, right? So I'm sitting there, and then I get up, and then I started speaking. And the first thing I tell them, before I even introduced myself and told them my name, I said, "Man, one of my good childhood friends asked me why I was sitting down with you guys. And the reason why I sat down with you guys, because I want to let you guys know that before I even speak, before I give you all my spiel, that I'm just like you. I once sat in your shoes. I once walked your walk." So that sparked the whole thing. I wanted to tell my therapist about it. We're kind of in there brainstorming. He was like, "Dog, just like you. There it is right there. You got to do something with it." So there's this place in my neighborhood called the Dream Center, which is another center that helps homeless people. They help single moms. They help teens. They help youth. They help everybody in the neighborhood. And I've been partnering with it. I do a lot of volunteer work over there. So they're one of my big main partners when it comes to my nonprofit organization. I got a bunch of people at the Dream Center that's on my board that's helping me get speaking engagements. They're helping me connect with the community. They're helping me put a lot of stuff together that I don't have to really focus on. I just kind of got to show up and do the work. They're just connecting all the dots with me while I'm here playing football. I'm sure a bunch of the kids that come to the Orlando Guardians game, I'm going to do my best to get those guys tickets, because I want them to be able to, for one, they see me off the field, but I want them to be able to see me on the field, pursuing my dream, living my dream, and let them know that, guys, I'm just like you. I'm no different than you, especially kids that's coming from the foster home, kids coming from the projects, kids coming from, in a place where they're homeless, in a place where they don't feel like nobody believes in them, nobody loves them. They might feel like, you know what, I'm worthless. They might feel like they can't achieve their goals, achieve their dream. Because there's people out here that think that way, because I once thought that way, right? But now to be where I am now, playing the XFL, shoot the dream come true, because I had to take the long road, right? I had to take the stairs, right? I'm still taking the stairs to get to my dream of playing in the National Football League. It hasn't been easy, but my journey has been so worth it, because everything that I learned along the way, I have that inside of me. Like, nobody can take that from me. So now when I go back and I impart into the youth, they're going to be able to feel me, right? It's different when somebody go through something, they're coming back and like, "Hey man," because in my neighborhood, there's a lot of kids that want to make it, they want to play pro football, but I don't want to just give back to kids that want to play pro football. I want to give back to kids that they may want to be a realtor, they may want to be a doctor. I just want to inspire the youth and let them know that, man, you can be anything that you desire to be in life. You put your mind to it, you believe in yourself, and you do the work, because when I was younger, I didn't even know what a realtor was. All I knew was football. Either you was gonna be a football player, basketball player, you was gonna rap like an entertainer, or you was gonna be in the streets. Those was our three options that I felt like was presented to us, right, in my neighborhood. I did all three, right? I excelled more at football. You know, I got an opportunity to go play D1, and I just want to be able to be that light for kids to see that, you know what, I'm in a dark tunnel. I'm in a dark place. I'm in a place where I don't know what's going on. My parents getting a divorce. I don't know what to do. But I see this guy on Instagram. I see this guy on YouTube. I see this guy on TV. He's a light for me, right? I'm going to follow that light. I'm going to reach out to this guy, and I'm just going to follow him. I feel like if he did it, I can do it. So that's where my nonprofit stems from.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love that name, Just Like You, and how beautiful that is, that it just happens so organically. Like it just, oh,
right.
Well, of course this is what it should be, you know? So we've talked about a lot of things that you love. I mean, when it comes to your love of the game, and you spoke a bit about it before, but what does football mean to you? And what does the opportunity that you now have with the XFL, what does that mean?
So football means a lot to me because it gives me an opportunity to express myself, right? When I was younger, football was an outlet for me. In my neighborhood, I got bullied as a kid, you know, got ran from the park. But anytime we at the park, we played football, we always played football. So for me, football gave me an opportunity, like I said before, to express myself. I was very angry as a kid growing up, but I wasn't angry just to be angry. I was angry because I was misunderstood. I was angry because I was hurt. I was angry because I felt like nobody saw me, right? On the football field, I felt seen. On the football field, I felt heard. On the football field, I found purpose at a very young age, right? So you can only imagine the connection that I have with the game. It taught me so many life skills, right? It taught me how to be a man. It taught me about hard work. It taught me about discipline. It taught me about going after something and believing in yourself. It taught me about betting on myself. It taught me how to compete, like, respectfully. You know what I mean? So right now, this opportunity for me is giving me a chance to live out my dream, to continue to learn from guys around me, my peers. So many great guys that are on the Orlando Guardians, right? My teammates, my coaches. Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for this coaching staff, right? I'm gonna just talk about the defense coaches first, because those are the guys that I interact with on a daily basis. We got Coach T-Buck, who I know believes in me, right? Coach TC, who I know believes in me. Coach Warren DeLanco, who I know believes in me. Coach Lee, who I know believes in me. Coach Snyder. All of these guys have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to football. So just being able to be in the rooms with them, pick their brain, listen to them when they talk, take notes, for me is an opportunity that I don't take lightly, because I know it's going to help me get to where I want to go. The XFL, it's a great opportunity, but I feel like it's a stepping stone. I still want to get to the NFL, right? But this opportunity is pertinent for that, right? Because it's going to help me, it's going to mold me, it's going to develop me. So when I get into that NFL room, I'm ready because of the development that happened here in the 2023 XFL season.
That's awesome. Well, we are excited to watch. So in a post of yours the other day on Instagram, you said this, Roman: "This mission I am on is personal. I owe myself a lot. My question for you is, what is it that you owe yourself, and why?"
I owe myself a chance at my dreams, right? A chance to go out there and prove to myself. It's not about proving anybody else. When I look in the mirror, the only person around is me, right? I set a goal for myself when I was younger, right? I told my big mom, right, I would take care of her. We got evicted the last time when I was 15 years old, and I looked at her then, I said, one day you're not going to have to worry about this. I'm going to make it in football, and I'm going to buy you a house that nobody can kick you out of, right? You know, so that's one thing that I feel like I owe myself, not even her. I owe myself, because the type of person I am, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to work at it all day long until I get it, right? And then I got in trouble in college, right? My sophomore year, I was at the University of Delaware, started as a freshman, started as a sophomore, ended up getting in trouble my sophomore year, got into a little tussle off the field, ended up coming back home, ended up getting into some more trouble. So all of that to me was like, the NFL saw me as a kid with red flags, you know? So for me, it felt like when I got the opportunity to get back on the field, I had to go get back what was taken from me, right? And I'm not going to blame anybody else. It was myself that put me in those situations, right? But I learned from those situations. Now to be here in the XFL, I'm coming back for everything that I feel like I'm destined to have, right? This is my second time being drafted into the XFL, right? So for me, it's like, you know, most people get one opportunity, but everybody don't get a second chance and stuff, right? I got a second opportunity, and for me to get drafted again, that says that, to me, that says that, hey man, you're worthy to play in the NFL. Guys in the XFL, nobody's here that doesn't want to be in the NFL and don't have NFL caliber talent, right? You just may need a little bit more fine tuning. Because in the NFL, man, you got to be on your stuff, right? So the XFL for me is an opportunity for me to get fine tuned by guys that have been there. They've been in those NFL. I mean, they've had successful careers. And you're taking a guy like myself who's having taken the long road. I played in all the arena leagues. I played in all developmental leagues, right? And all those leagues, I'm telling myself, you know what? I'm destined for it. I'm gonna go get it. And I'm an underdog, right? And all the other underdogs out there like that, man, I got homies all the time that hit me up on Instagram and stuff. So whenever I'm posting to give those guys inspiration that, and man, you too can do it, bro. And the reason why I said I owe myself is mainly because I told myself that I was gonna do something, and I just have to go and do it. Like if I told you, hey man, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z for you, now I feel like I owe you, right? Because I told you I was gonna do something, and now you're gonna be looking for me to do it. So I'm that person looking in the mirror like, hey man, I'm just looking for you to do it. So that's my mindset every time I step out there on that field.
Again, a man of your word. I love it. I love it. So let's end our conversation with a game. So speaking of words, you're a man of your word. I love words. I'm a word nerd. So let's play a game where we exchange words. So when I say a word, I'm going to give you 9 of them. It's my favorite number. I give you 9 words.
My mom had 2 kids and I was number 9, by the way.
And you see how the universe is just interjecting and saying this little game was supposed to happen right now. So I'm going to say a word. You say the first word that comes to your mind. Okay?
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. First one, life.
Hope.
Father.
Faith.
Green.
Light.
Mother.
Dad.
Tomorrow.
Today.
Kids.
Love.
This.
That.
Football.
Moments.
Love.
Competition.
Awesome. Thank you so much for not only sharing your story so beautifully and so honestly, but also for sharing these words, and this time for sharing this moment. Thank you so much for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
So much.